Hello everyone, welcome to It's Crochet O'Clock. My name is Stephanie and today we are going to be working on part 7 of the Arizona Crochet Along by Pippin Poppycock. Now if you haven't been to the website and you aren't following along with the written pattern but you want to, all of that information will be below in the description box. Pippin Poppycock's website and their Facebook group where you can ask questions, you can see everybody else's Arizonas as they're working on. It's a great time. You should definitely join the group and participate. Before we begin, I would like to say to any of those that like to crochet over their ends instead of weaving them in, like I prefer to, if I know that I'm going to be crocheting over something, I will not weave it in because I don't like it. And I don't want to debate about it because I know that some people don't like doing that, but if you do, this portion is not the portion to do that in. Because in every single row except for the very first row, we are going to be working in the back loops, and there's just not enough back loop stitches to secure those ends down. So I would just suggest that you don't. Just weave in your ends. It's one portion. You'll be okay, I promise. Just don't do it to yourself because you don't want your work to come undone. So now that that little public service announcement is out of the way, let us begin with row 73. It is worked in the 5th color, and we are going to start with a standing single crochet in the first stitch from the previous row. Just going to pull that over. There we go. And for this row, we are simply going to single crochet in each stitch all the way across. 271 of them. I know that you are familiar with that number by now. We are also going to be changing colors every single row. So when you get to the end of this row, go ahead and fasten off, and I will meet you right back here for row 74. Rows 74 and 75 are exactly the same, so I'm going to do them together. The only difference is that you change colors. Row 74 is worked in color number 4, and row 75 is worked in color number 3. For the rest of this portion, we are going to be working in the back loops only. So if you look at these, you'll see here there's a little V there that is created from our stitches, and normally whenever we crochet through both of those loops. We go through both. For this, we are only going to be working in the back loops. I think my darning needle is separating my yarn there, which is not good. So we're only going to be going into the back loop of our work. That's very important. If you don't work in the back loop, you are going to be upset come 2 rows from now, maybe even more. But color number 4, we are going to begin with a standing back loop single crochet. It's going to feel extremely unstable, but it's okay. See, we're going for that back loop right there, not the front loop, not between them. We are going to insert our hook in between those 2 loops, grab that back loop, and work a standing back loop single crochet. Now we are going to back loop single crochet for the rest of this row, 271 of them. Work it all the way across, fasten off, change to color number 3 for row 75, and work these back loop single crochets all the way across. And I will see you once you've gotten finished with both of those rows for row 76. Moving on to row 76, this is what part 7 is looking like so far, working only in those back loops. For row 76, we are on color number 2, and it begins just like the other ones with a standing back loop single crochet. I'm just going to insert there, make my standing back loop single crochet, and now we are going to back loop single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So there is 1 and then 2. Now this is where the fun begins. We are going to place a treble in the front loop 3 rows below. So this is the next space that we are going to work in, and then 1, 2 down, well this is 1, 2, and then 3. So we're not going to place our next stitch in this stitch I'm showing you now because it will be covered up here in a minute, but this treble is going to take the place of this stitch. So after we get finished working this treble, we will be placing our next stitch in the stitch following. So we're going to work right here in this front loop. So we can yarn over twice for our treble, down, and insert your hook. And I always have to end up turning my work. However it is that you need to manipulate your work to make it comfortable for you. So there is our first treble. You can also look here just to double check to make sure that you have 3 stitches before this front loop treble, because we worked 3 back loop single crochets right there. You want to make sure that you have 3 stitches over there. So again, we are skipping the stitch directly behind the treble, and we are going to place a back loop single crochet in the next stitch. There's 1. We're going to do 3 of these. So there's 2 and then 3. Now we're going to work another front loop treble in this next stitch, but 3 rows down. So we will yarn over twice, insert your hook in this front loop, pull through once, twice, and 3 times. Don't forget not to work the stitch behind. Now we're going to work 3 more back loop single crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3. So that's your repeat for this row. You'll have 3 back loop single crochets and then a front loop treble, 3 back loop single crochets, front loop treble. You're going to work this all the way down to the end. When you get to the end, you should have 3 stitches left over, and you will place 3 back loop single crochet. Fasten off, pause the video. Well, pause the video first, then work everything, then fasten off, and I will see you back here for row 77. Row 77 is worked in color number 1, and this first stitch is going to be a little bit tricky. We are going to work a standing treble in the front loop 3 rows below. So here's 1 row, and then 2 and 3. So where we are going is right there. So we will yarn over twice for the standing, and then I'm going to turn my work. I'm not even going to fight with this. So yarn over twice and then insert into that front loop. There we go. Yarn over and pull through. Hold on to your tail. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Phew, all right. Now we are not going to work in this first standing stitch here. We are going to start our stitches in the next, and we're going to make 3 back loop single crochets in each of the next 3 stitches. So there is 1, and then 2 and 3. An important thing to remember for this portion is from here on out, your 3rd single crochet stitch is always going to land on top of a treble. So if something happens and it doesn't, then you know that you've missed something somewhere. So you don't have to wait until you get all the way to the end and count all of your stitches and, oh no, you have 270 instead of 271. This is a good check mark for you. Now we're going to work another front loop treble, 3 rows below, and we're going, your trebles will always be directly to the left of the trebles in the previous row. So we're going right here into that stitch, 3 rows down, get in there, there we go, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Remember, skipping the stitch behind, back loop treble, or back loop single crochet rather. We need 2 more of those. And our 3rd lands right there on top of our treble. We're going to work another front loop treble going into that loop right there. 3 rows below. Remember, skip the stitch behind, working into the next stitch, back loop single crochet, and I'm sure you've probably already guessed by now, we will need 2 more of those. And now a front loop treble, 3 rows below, directly to the left of that treble from the previous row. And that's your repeat. You're going to continue working this all the way down until you have 2 stitches left, and you will back loop single crochet in those 2 stitches. Go ahead and pause the video. I will see you for row 78. Row 78 is worked in color number 7, and it begins with a standing back loop single crochet in the first stitch. That was the standing treble from the last row. So make sure you're getting into the back loop, and we're working a single crochet. Now our next stitch is going to be a front loop treble, 3 rows below, so there's 1, 2, and then 3, and you have to pay attention here because it will get a little bit confusing. This treble is covering up the first stitch. We want to go for that stitch. If yours is kind of leaning over to the side, it might confuse you a little bit, but that's the stitch right there that we're working into. So we're going to yarn over twice and then down into the stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now we are going to place 3 back loop single crochets. Remember, we're not working the stitch directly behind this treble, so we're working in this next stitch, back loop single crochet. There's one, and then two, and three. Now we're going to need to work another front loop treble 3 rows below, so it's going to go into that stitch right there. Yarn over twice, insert into the front loop 3 rows below, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Now again, we're skipping the stitch directly behind the treble and working single crochets in the back loop of the next 3 stitches. There's 2 and 3. And let's do one more front loop treble. We're going 1, 2, 3 rows down. So yarn over twice, insert into that stitch, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. So you're going to continue on with this pattern. That's your repeat, 3 back loop single crochets and then a front loop treble 3 rows below. You're going to continue working this all the way down the pattern. When you get to the end, you will have 1 stitch left and you'll work a back loop single crochet in that 1 stitch. If you have more than 1 stitch or you don't have 1 stitch, whenever you get to the end, you know that you've gone wrong somewhere. So go ahead and pause the video, work to the end of this row. I will see you for row 79. Row 79 is worked in color number 5. We are going to start with a standing back loop single crochet in the first stitch. So that goes right in there. Grab that tail and pull that around. Standing and back loop single crochet, and then we are going to back loop single crochet into the next stitch, which is the top of the treble from the previous row. And now we are going to work a front loop treble 3 rows below. So there's 1, 2, and then 3. So this stitch is the stitch that we're going for. Yarn over twice, insert into that stitch, pull through twice, pull through twice, or pull through 2 rather, not twice. Remember, we're skipping the stitch directly behind the treble, and we are working a back loop single crochet in the next 3 stitches. There's 1, and there's 2, and then 3. Now we're going to work another front loop treble 3 rows below. Remember that we always have 3 single crochets that we have to work, and our last single crochet is always going to fall in the top of the treble from the previous row. So that's another way that you can check to make sure that you're not skipping stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then there's that stitch right there, and that's where we're going for on this row. So yarn over twice, insert, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Skip the stitch behind, back loop single crochet in the next 3 spaces. There's 1, 2, and 3. So that's your repeat for this row. Continue working these all the way down to the end. Your last stitch of this row is going to be a front loop treble crochet, and it's going to be, hold on, let me find the end of my blanket here to show you. It is going to fall directly to the left 3 rows down, so it will be in that stitch right there where you'll make your very last stitch. So go ahead and pause the video, work those all the way down, and I will meet you for row 80. Row 80 is worked in color number 4, and it begins with a standing back loop single crochet in the first stitch, and there is my standing back loop single crochet. Now we are going to place 2 more back loop single crochets. There's 1, and then 2. Now we are going to work a front loop treble 3 rows below. So there's 1 row, 2 row, and then 3 rows. And if things look a little muddled, remember that we're going to have 3 stitches after our front loop treble. So this is the place where our front loop treble will take. Then we have 1, 2, 3. So this is where our third back loop single crochet is going to go. So you can just count, there's 1, 2, 3. So this stitch right here is where your front loop treble is going to go. So slip in there. There's 1, 2, 3. Skip the space behind. 3 back loop single crochets. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now let's work another front loop. 1, 2, 3. This is the space that we're going for. There we go. Skip a space behind. Back loop single crochet over the next 3 stitches. And 3. So that's going to be our repeat for this row. When you get to the end, you'll have 3 stitches, just like we had here at the beginning, and you'll place 3 back loop single crochets in those 3 stitches. Go ahead and pause the video. We will meet back here for row 81. Row 81 is worked in color number 3, and it begins with a standing treble in the first stitch 3 rows below. So there's the first row, second row, third row. So we are going to work right there in that stitch, and we're going to make a standing treble. So let's slip into this stitch, yarn over, make sure I grab a hold of this tail, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. There's our standing treble. We're going to skip this first stitch on our working row, and we are going to place 3 back loop single crochets in the next 3 rows. So there is back loop single crochet, that's 1, and then 2 and 3. Now we're going to work a front post treble 3 rows below, 1, 2, and 3. So wrap twice, insert your hook, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Skip the stitch behind. Then we're going to, in the next 3 stitches, back loop single crochet. There's 1, 2, and 3. One more front post, not front post, front loop treble down here, 3 rows below. Pull through once, pull through twice, pull through 3 times. So that's your repeat for this row. You're going to continue on doing this. 3 single crochets in the back loop, front loop treble, 3 single crochets, front loop treble. Your last 2 stitches after you get to the end of the blanket, let me show you the end again. When you get to the end of the blanket, you're going to place a front post treble, or front loop treble rather, right there, and it's going to take that place. So your last 2 stitches will be back loop single crochets. Go ahead and pause the video, catch up. I will see you for row 82. Row 82 is worked in color number 2, and it begins with a standing back loop single crochet, and our first stitch is going to go into the top of this first standing front loop treble that we did the row before. So we're just going to slip our hook into that back loop and pull it through. Find my tail, there we go. Standing single crochet. Our next stitch is going to be a front loop treble, 3 rows down. So there's 1, 2, and then 3. We're going right there for that stitch. So we will yarn over twice and then insert our hook. 1, 2, and then 3. We're going to skip the stitch behind, and we are going to single crochet in the back loop of the next 3 stitches. So there is 1 and 2 and then 3. Now we're going to work another front post treble 3 rows down, so we're going right there for that stitch. Yarn over twice, insert your hook, pull through 3 times for our treble, skip the stitch behind, back post single crochets in the next 3 spaces. And there's 1, 2, and 3. Let's do one more front post treble. 3 rows down. You can go pull through once, twice, 3 times. That's your repeat for this row. When you get to the end, you will have 1 stitch left, You'll back loop single crochet into that one stitch. So go ahead and pause the video, complete this row. I'll meet you back for row 83. Row 83 is worked in color number 1, and it begins with a standing back loop single crochet in that first stitch. So I'm just going to make that standing back loop single crochet. There we go. And now we are going to make another back loop single crochet in the next stitch. Now it's time to work a front loop treble 3 rows below. So there's 1, 2, and then 3. That's the stitch right there that we are going for. All right, down there, there we go. 1, 2, and 3. Remember, we're skipping the stitch directly behind this treble. We're going to place 3 back loop single crochets in the next 3 stitches. Well, 1 each. I don't want you to get confused. Just 1 each over the next 3 stitches. Back loops. Now we're going to work another front post treble. So there's 1, 2, 3. We're going for that stitch right there. One, 2, and 3. So that's your repeat for row 83. You're going to continue working this all the way down. Your last stitch is going to be a front loop treble in the very last stitch, just like it was 4 rows ago. So go ahead, pause the video, work out this row. I will see you for row 84. Row 84 is worked in color number 7, and it begins with a back loop standing single crochet rather. So we are going to place our first stitch right there in that first stitch, back loop single crochet, and now we are going to place 2 more back loop single crochets in these next 2 stitches. So there is 1, maybe, there we go, 1, and then 2 in the back loop. Now we're going to work a front loop treble 3 rows below, so we're going right there for that stitch. Yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then pull through 2. We're skipping the space behind, and we are going to place a back loop single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. There is 1, 2, and 3. We're going to place another front loop treble 3 rows below, so that's that space right there. Yarn over twice, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up, pull through 2, pull through 2, and then pull through 2. Make sure you skip the space behind that. And you are going to continue on with this pattern all the way down to the end. Your last 3 stitches will be 3 back loop single crochets. So if you get there and you don't have 3 more extra stitches after your last front loop treble, then you've gone wrong somewhere, but hopefully you won't. Go ahead and pause the video, complete this round, and I will meet you back for row 85. Row 85 is the final row of this portion. It's worked in color number 5, and it begins with a standing treble 3 rows down, 1, 2, and 3. So we are going for that first front loop right there. So we'll yarn over twice, and then we are going to insert our hooks. There's 1, 2, and then here is the 3rd row right there into that front loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, oop, don't lose your tail, pull through 2, and then pull through 2. So there's my standing treble. And remember, it takes the place of this first stitch right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to work in the next 3 stitches, back loop a single crochet in each one of those stitches. So there is number 1, and then 2 and 3. Lands in the top of that treble from the previous row. We're going to work another front loop treble 3 rows below. So there's 1, 2, and 3. That's the stitch that we're going for right there. Get in there. There we go. There's 1, 2, and 3. And now we need single crochets in the next 3 stitches in the back loops. There is 1, 2, and 3. And this will be your repeat for your final row. Your last stitches, you'll have 2 left after you get finished with your last your last front loop treble. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say. You'll have 2 stitches left after that. And so go ahead and pause the video and I will show you what it looks like all completed. Well, here we are, all finished with part 7. This is what it looks like. Now all you need to do is fasten off your ends, weave them in, and repeat everything that we've done here on the opposite side, and you'll be done for the week. I will see you next week for the border, which is the final portion of this crochet along. Thank you for watching.